Hey guys, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of Apologists, Ace Attorney. In the last episode, we started off the trial of Turnabout Serenade of the murder of, what is his name? Romain Latouche, and we cross-examined Emma first, and then we cross-examined Le Miroir because we wanted to hear from her because we know that she saw something, but she's trying to say that she didn't, but she's looking mighty suspicious, but we can't really prove that she saw anything at all. So now we're gonna go back to Emma to talk about the how the body went missing. So yeah, let's get going. I believe Machi stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Le Miroir's song. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim, and Machi practically left his signature at the scene. All of this evidence clearly points to the defendant. Le Miroir's song? Yes, the Guitar Serenade. You noticed its code too, did you not? Its code? All the events that happened that day follow the lyrics to our song. First, the keys my heart held onto so tightly were stolen. Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Latouche's life was taken by a bullet. The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, guitar, up together to the sky. Well, that's mad! It's like a story out of some fairy tale. I admit I'd forgotten about the song. But there it is now, waiting for me. The grand finale, as it were.
Hey, you know I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of jumping rope to songs and counting to songs, but killing? It's a wild words out there, Judge? Very well. We've heard one song and dance. Let's get on to the next. The cross-examination. I'm not so sure I'm going to be doing much singing. But Emma is. What does this mean? What do you mean by his signature? The bullet holes in the wall, of course. The bullet holes? The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall. And that means what, exactly? That dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range. Difficult to miss, you say? Very. Assuming the shooter could probably aim. No, you can't be serious.
Machi, he can't see. That's why he missed?
It's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly. That reminds me, the monitor in that room was blaring at the time, yeah? Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound. A blind shooter. No wonder he missed. I knew those bullet holes would come back to haunt me. Think Justice, what do I do now? Sure, there were bullet holes left in the wall. But that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see. Oh? How so? Well, there could have been a struggle with the victim. That's certainly possible. And it might have been the revolver's fault. The revolver? The revolver was a very large caliber, correct? If the shooter wasn't used to firing such a large weapon, why, it could dislocate the shoulder. Exactly. The defendant, Machi Tobaye, is, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing the gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would throw off his aim. Are we not going to talk about the fact that Machi's arm isn't broken or dislocated? He shot it twice.
Apollo?
Huh? What?
That bit about Machi being tiny and the gun throwing off his aim, aren't you kind of, admitting that he did it?
Oh. It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was, without a doubt, the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point. Ugh. Cripes, I really put my foot in it this time. But let's get the facts of the matter on the record. If you would, Fraulein Detective. Right. From the state of the crime scene, I conclude the shooter was blind. Girl, what? How do you prove that his shoulder wasn't broken? Ba-da-da. Let's go. The prosecution holds that the shooter couldn't see. A scientific conclusion based on a thorough examination of the crime scene, yes. Apparently not thorough enough. I have a certain piece of evidence that completely overturns your claim. What? This is that evidence. The photograph of the crime scene. I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face, but this is no time to think twice. Time to press on. Yes, Your Honor. The crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point. Then perhaps you'd best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, yeah? Very well. Show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. The contradiction at the scene of the crime is... the writing, I think. Trying to get it right on the thing. The contradiction is right here. The smeared bloodstains. I thought it was just my blurry vision, but it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head. Much like a gesture I have seen many times in this court.
It's almost as if he wrote something. Aha! I get it! At least, I think I get it.
Guess what, Fräulein?
When Mr. Latouche was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? And what would he write it in but his own blood? Pretty good, huh?
Thanks for making my point for me. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here. That does seem to be a distinct possibility.
The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat, I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that.
Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind. Neither would I. No one has anything else to say? About what? So the prosecution accepts this? You agree this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of his killer? And that the killer tried to rub the name out?
What's your point?
What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name?
Well, Mr. Latouche was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was...
Wait. Once he saw what it was? But what did you just testify about the shooter?
I said they were blind.
Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they rub out the name in blood otherwise? May I remind the court that the defendant, Machi Tobaya, is blind. He couldn't have been the shooter. Impossible! Order! Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet up until now... It seems I owe the courts an apology. The Gaviners are a band with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred. During our concert, apparently, this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner. I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here.
Hey, Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't, and he's about to tell us.
I've got an idea. Let's rock! With these documents. But before that, I have a question for the Fräulein Detective, if I may.
What?
Tell me, why do you think that Machi Tobaya is blind?
Huh?
What did he say?
What are you saying? Of course he's blind.
Of course?
He's the blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lemiroir lead him around by the hand all the time?
No way. I have a report here on the defendant, Machi Tobaya. According to this, Machi Tobaya can see perfectly well.
What?
Huh? His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Borginians. He can see quite well. Are you kidding me? But you said... What did I say exactly? Head Forehead, not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was the Fraulein detective. But that's a significant fact, yes. Consider, Machi Tobae sees, and he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. But what about the bullet holes in the wall? Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Head Forehead neatly explains those for us. He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the .45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just flown off the brighter skies. Ugh. This is where the real fun begins, Head Forehead. The face again. But really? We're gonna throw away the whole, like, premise of Machi... What? I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk! Just what was I in here for? Comic relief?
Yeah, apologize!
Oh, sorry.
That's no way to apologize.
He's angered the Trucy now. Look out. If we can please end the bickering, now.
Whatever, I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me.
But your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant. Don't say that.
Ah, aha!
Aha, what?
This bloodstain. The criminal tried to wipe it off, right?
That seems to be what happened, yes.
We might be able to find out what was really written here.
Really? You can do that?
That's right. With this. It's called luminol. Maybe you know of it. It's a chemical that reacts to blood.
Ah, yes. Have we done those tests yet?
Ha! As if I'm going to tell you.
The bloodstains cover the section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, that section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it in here in court now.
Right. Go for it, Apollo.
Huh? I had to do the test?
You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple.
A chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere before. Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. How about it?
Right. Ready? It's easy as pie. Just touch the screen to spray an area. Here, give it a try.
The eyes of the entire court are focused on me.
Apollo, your hand's shaking.
Let's do this. What the frick is that? Wow, it really works.
This must be the power of science.
I totally just cracked my voice there. Whoa, what happened there?
Is that the killer's name?
Maybe it is. Aha, I have it. So what is it? I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number.
Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency?
Yes. Most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number? Why would Mr. Latouche even know a number like that? Good show, Fraulein Detective. Rock on.
Huh?
Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darien, are you there? Come out to the witness stand. Darien, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number. Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, give me 27. I'm not sure what to think of all this. The prosecution's case is airtight, or so it seems. And if this number is really that of an Interpol agent...
Oh, wait, I know. What if Machi Tobai is really an undercover Interpol agent?
That would be a possibility. A possibility, yes. And one that would mark him as the killer for certain. Why did Latouche know an Interpol ID number? That's what I want to know. Well, we have some time before we await Darien's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Machi Tobae. What are you talking about? Fraulein Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. It seemed too much of a bother to tell you. You had me until that last bit. Does this not raise a rather straightforward question?
Well, sure. Why did Machi pretend he couldn't see?
Exactly. It makes little sense. What do you think here, Forehead? Huh? Me? Machi Tobae pretended he was blind. Do you know why?
How can he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he?
He's known from the start of the trial. He's been leading us on the whole time. Something wrong? Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? Knows at the moment I heard that report. I knew why. I suppose people who have sold over 1 million records really are something else. What does that have to do with anything? There was a reason why Machi Tobae pretended to be blind. But it wasn't for his own sake. Getting the picture now? It wasn't for himself? Well, Mr. Justice, can you present evidence that shows us why the defendant had to feign blindness? I don't fucking know. What?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Forehead, I'm disappointed in you. Unless you're merely feigning stupidity, yeah? Keep it up, wise guy. Recall the relationship of Lamiroir and Machi Tobae. In particular, their arrangement over the years before visiting the country.
Lamiroir and her pianist. They would always walk together, she leading him by the hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him.
That's right, because he was blind, or so we thought. She led him at all times. All times. All times! Yet we now know that Machi could see perfectly well. Why keep up the charade? Well, wasn't it part of the performance? There is a simpler explanation here, Judge. Machi did not need to be led by hand at all, which means... Ah! You don't mean... I do. It was the other way around. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lamiroir. What's this? So you mean to say that Lamiroir is... she's... blind as a bat, Head Judge.
What? That's why she's called the landscape painter in sound.
Order, order, order! This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin.
Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter in sound or something?
Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lamiroir herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room.
Apollo, what does this mean for her case?
Don't ask me. I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now. Bailiff, bring in Lamiroir. What is going on? Lamiroir, it pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way. And yet I must.
Please, do not be concerned on my behalf.
Those eyes. She really can't see? Really?
It is true. How funny it is that a tiny lie born in the Burgundian countryside would one day grow to entangle the entire world.
So you are?
Yes. As I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became Lamiroir. No tomb that my memories began in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lamiroir.
I see. You may recall me saying something towards the beginning of this trial here, Forehead. What's that? I believe I said it was unfortunate that this crime has no direct witness. Now, Lamiroir, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes?
Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. May I begin, Your Honor?
Oh, yes, of course. Though I admit I'm a little lost here. I think we're all a bit lost here, Your Honor.
I have no memory of the light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So, silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others.
But this is a murder trial!
I apologize. It was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this would.
She told us the truth in the beginning, when she said she saw nothing. Very well. Does the defense have anything to add? I'd like to cross-examine.
But what is there left to ask?
There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me. Perhaps it is best we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself. Very well, the defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness. Okay, there was only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that and I'll be happy.
There wasn't one part that bothered me. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, hold on. I have no memory of the light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others. Latouche. When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Latouche?
Of course. He was my manager.
So he knew. And that's what's been bugging me. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You are thinking of when you discovered the body, yes?
Is he right, Apollo?
Yes, I was. He's alive! Mr. Latouche, can you hear me? Cold. So cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. Can't see. Hang in there, Mr. Latouche. Tell me, who was the witness? The witness is Siren. Mr. Latouche told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind.
I don't know.
What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself. Meaning what? There is no mystery here if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more. The witness, Siren? We've heard them many times along with a little play acting by our defense. And their voice actor. I remember them well myself, but that statement is not to what I prefer. I mean what he said before that.
Before? What came before that?
That's right. He tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness. I say! Too bad the defense did not. Well, Herr Forehead, try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time. Ugh! Order, order! Recall Amito's earlier testimony.
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it.
But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that. That is not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Latouche witnessed her through that window. Why else would he have named her as the witness?
But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots, and the man's voice.
Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We have already run a simulation, of course.
But it was so clear. If I heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant.
What is it, bailiff? Can't you see we're in session here? The investigation? The Interpol number that Mr. Latouche left us. Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterward. Detective Crescent, your report, please. I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing. Quick work as always, Darian. Well, tell us about the number. Is the defendant a secret agent? IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Latouche. What? Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Latouche himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation. So, when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity, and a cautious killer tried to wipe them away.
Mr. Latouche was an undercover Interpol agent? So him being Lemiroir's manager...
was just a cover, most likely. There's one other important detail I found. Well, out with it. It concerns that .45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. Apparently, it belonged to Romain Latouche. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms, and the registration number on the revolver matched. So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who wasn't an Interpol agent with such a huge revolver. So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op. I wonder how that ties into everything.
It's gotta tie in somehow, you'd think.
Yeah, somehow. Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It's a great help. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. Whoa.
Wait.
Lemire, is something the matter?
That voice just now.
Darien?
Mr. Darien, is it? It was him. I'm sure of it.
It was him? You aren't saying...
That voice I heard, talking to Mr. Latouche, when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien.
Is this some kind of a joke? What? No way. His hair. I can't get over his hair. The courtroom fell into such a chaotic state the trial had to be suspended temporarily. I'd never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lemire, fingering Darien Crescent. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective. Could it really have been his voice Lemire heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it.
Hey, no whipping out now, Apollo!
What the What? What the heck? Dang. That got it. Wow. That got climactic fast. Holy crap. Well, I guess we're gonna try and investigate some more and figure out whether it really was Darien at the crime scene. But yeah, that seems like kind of an accusation out of nowhere right now. But yeah, that is it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time. Roll the end card.
Objection! You haven't hit like and subscribe yet! Hold it! You forgot to ring the bell to get notified whenever I upload! Take that! Click here to watch more of my videos! Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!